Hey everybody, welcome back to Garage Gear. I'm JB, and today what we're working on is an oil change on this central pneumatic air compressor from Harbor Freight, and I'm going to show you some cool tools that kind of help me along this whole project to get this process done quicker and more efficiently. Stay tuned. So here's a quick close-up of the air compressor, ladies and gentlemen. It is a little dusty, a little dirty. I have actually been neglecting this thing for a little while. I've been putting this project off, so we're going to do it today, and we're going to get this whole project done pretty quickly. So this is the 125 PSI air compressor. This is 2 horsepower, 8 gallon. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, for small projects like I do, this is perfect for me. This is an awesome little air compressor. I've had this for a number of years now. It works great, pumps lots of air, and does everything I need it to. Now, if I really started getting into a lot of work with air tools, then I'd probably step up to something maybe a little bit bigger, but this does everything just fine for me. So today our tasks are to change the oil, clean it up, and I've already ran it a little bit, so the oil inside should be nice and warm. So let's go through this whole process. So now, for all intents and purposes, I have unplugged this machine, and if we take a look at the oil inside this lens, which is kind of neat, it is actually starting to look a little dirty, and it is actually starting to look a little low. And I'm sorry the camera's a little shaky here, but the oil line should actually be just slightly higher on this little lens. And if we look at the diagram over here, it actually tells you where it needs to be. Kind of convenient, kind of helpful. So now it's time to get this job done. And we're going to get the oil drained out over here. Here's our drain bolt. And then we have the drain fill plug right up here. So we're going to drain the oil out, and then we're going to refill. Very, very simple process. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's go over the tools of the trade here. Now, this is what's called a funnel. I absolutely love this thing. I have used this for years. I think it cost me about $20, maybe $30. And when I saw it in the store, I was just like, oh, that's really cool. And now they have them on Amazon. So I'm going to put a link down below for this, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look for it. And what it allows me to do is kind of shape a funnel and put oil exactly where I need it to go. So I have my oil pan down here on top of a little container, and what I can do is I can actually mold and bend this thing, and if we take a closer look, I can shape it and it kind of stays put. It's got this like flexible piece inside this rubber, and I can bend it, shape it, distort it. I can do whatever I want with this thing. I could curl it up, fold it, and pack it away. All right, so pretty neat how this works. And when I'm done, all I gotta do is take a paper towel and wipe it down. It's pretty quick. And then I just tuck it away, and then I use it again. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna jam it up underneath this bolt, and I'm gonna kind of twist it a little bit. I'm gonna put it exactly where I want it. And that'll probably do right about there. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is take out this bolt right here, and that is a 3/4 inch bolt. I'm going to put it on my socket. I'm going to put it in reverse, and we're going to open her up. It's not going to take much there. And then, boom, the oil will just flow right on down, right on into the tray. So we can see the oil's just flowing right on down. It's going to empty all into our tray at the bottom, and we'll just let it be for a few minutes and let it do its thing. So another thing I did to kind of speed up the flow process here is I went to the other side and propped it up on 2 weight plates to kind of angle it a little bit more so the flow just kind of speeds up. We are just about drained. We're starting to get to some slow drips here, so it's only a matter of time. It's probably just going to be another minute or two, and then we're going to insert that plug back in, and we'll take this funnel away, and we'll take a look at the quality of the oil. Okay, so at this point, we are pretty close to about 5 seconds between drops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the plug back in. I'm going to twist it tight, and then I'm going to grab my socket and give it a quick crank. And that'll do. It's nice and snug. Wipe off any excess oil. So now what I'm going to do is take our funnel and let it just kind of drain and drip into the pan for a second. It's pretty good right there. Now I'm just going to wipe it off. And that's that, ladies and gentlemen. So that's our funnel. Very cool tool. I really like this thing. I use it for all kinds of stuff. I use it on snowblowers. Maybe they have a bolt similar to this where I can just jam it in and then I can actually bend it down and away from the snowblower tires, and I can get it right into a pan that way. So it is kind of neat. I mean, I can really get funky with this thing and bend the edges up and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. So funnel, very cool tool. It's made by a company called Pig. So again, I'm going to post this down below with a link so you guys can pick up your own. Very cool. So now let's take a look at the oil here. And this may look clear on camera, but from my point of view, it is actually very cloudy. I can actually see some minor little pieces of or shavings of metal in here. So that this engine is still breaking into some degree. I have only done, I think, 2 oil changes on this previous to it. And I did a half-hour run, just like it said in the instructions, to let it break in. And an oil change after that. So, I mean, this engine, I think, is still breaking into some extent. It doesn't get a crazy amount of use, but it does get used every so often. Now what we're going to do is we're going to recycle this oil. And somehow I always manage to make a mess doing this. So let's see if we can pull this off. This oil actually looks green to some extent. It's not so much of a gold, it's more of a green. So now the next step here, ladies and gentlemen, is to take out our plug. And if we look closely at this plug, it actually has a very small little rubber gasket right here. And check your gasket. If it's broken, get a new one on there. You can usually get like a kit of these little round gaskets pretty cheap. But we want to make sure that that gasket is in good shape. So that's our plug. We're going to set that aside. And now what we'll do is we'll fill it with this air compressor oil. Now this seems to be a little bit thicker than conventional motor oil. Just so everybody knows, this can be picked up at Harbor Freight. If you look by their air compressor tools, it's usually right there up front. You can't miss it. So definitely a good thing to get. And ladies and gentlemen, what I used last time was about half. So I should definitely have enough. It was a little less than half actually. So I should have a little bit left at the bottom of this container. So let's get to filling. I am going to use a very small funnel for this. This funnel doesn't go all the way in. It just kind of rests within the threads of where the plug goes. And then at the same time, while I'm filling this up, I'm also going to be watching my window down at the bottom to see how that goes up. Now, I'm not going to show you that through its entirety because you will see that it takes a long time to slowly rise. If you take a look there, you can see we're well below the red dot. We need to get our oil line right down across the center of that dot. And according to our dot, we need to add just a little bit more. We're getting close. We're almost there. We'll add a little bit more here. So as you can see, we are looking pretty good. We are right down across the center of that red dot. That is exactly where this diagram over here says we need to be. And ladies and gentlemen, we are just about done. So now we're going to take the funnel out. We're going to put the plug back in, and then we're going to clean this bad boy up. And as you can see, we used about, I would say about 1/3 of this container maybe. We still got quite a bit left. I don't know if it's quite enough to do another oil change, but I'll pick up another one when I visit Harbor Freight next. This oil, like I said earlier, is also much thicker, it seems, than conventional motor oil. All right, so now that the oil change is all said and done, what we're going to do now is get a rag and kind of clean this whole thing up. It's pretty dirty, pretty dusty. I've been neglecting it, like I said, for quite a while. It could use a quick cleaning. So here we go. And all I'm gonna use for this is a wet rag. I used some warm water. We're just gonna wipe this bad boy down. And another thing we're going to do here is coat some of the trim and some of the metal with some WD-40, our good old friend WD-40. Some of the parts on this, just because it's sitting in my garage, have little corners that are starting to show some little rust spots, so this will take care of that. We're gonna throw this WD-40 on an old microfiber towel. We're gonna spray this down. Just get a good amount on there, that'll do. And then from here, we're just gonna start wiping everything down. Makes it look like new again. I like my stuff to look like new. When people come in my garage and they take a look at the tools that I have, they're like, wow, all this stuff looks brand new. I was like, well, it's actually 5 or 6 years old, but I take care of it. I shine it up once in a while and make it look pretty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is a nice and clean, super shiny air compressor. I don't think there's a speck of dust on this thing. Oil change is all done. We cleaned it out, we drained it out of air, and then I actually drained out any fluid that was inside the tank as well, and then refilled it up with air too. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is ready to get going back underneath my workbench and start getting back to business. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into Garage Gear. Again, I'm JB. Thank you again to all my subscribers. And if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, please like and subscribe. To those of you that have subscribed, you guys rock. You are awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time in the garage.